Well, I'll tell you, nobody handles garbage better than we do.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey kids, welcome to Grumpy Nostalgia, the Second Look Cinema podcast, the show where we go back to that blockbuster new release well of our memory. We grab a copy off that shelf, we pop it in our VCR, and we see what time has done to it. I'm Justin, that guy's Mike.
Pardon my French.
And together we're here to help you navigate all the landmines littered down memory lane. So Mike, we're going back to the well this week for more 90s trash.
All right.
Good enough for the Flintstones, so we thought we'd couple this up with another helping of hospitality, Mike. So we're going to talk about Tremors.
Tremors.
Cult movie starring Kevin Bacon himself, Mike.
Is this our first Kevin Bacon movie?
I think that's correct.
It's crazy.
How did we talk about that
this
many
long?
Movies?
I'm sure he was tangentially related to some of the movies we did.
Don't you mean like 6 degrees separated from? Like, yeah,
sounds familiar.
So this was more or less an HBO staple for a lot of us. A lot of us didn't see this in the theater. Aftermarket DVD and cable really perpetuated this movie to cult status. Not quite sure if it was a good movie, Mike, but it was one of our favorite genres, Mike, is the B movie. And
oh yeah,
a lot of movies get put out now disguised as something else, but at their core, they're basically this B movie monster genre. We've covered a few, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of our favorites here at the end of the show. But for now, Mike, let's get back to the 90s.
Right.
To our coiffed superstar, Kevin Bacon.
Wow.
6 degrees of sexy in this one. You got to hand it to him. Wonderful coif of hair here, Mike.
That's right, man.
Almost distracting to the point where I couldn't really focus on anything other than his hair.
His feathered hair. Yeah, it was.
But,
it was a dandy.
Let's save our pettiness for later on during the line. So this was directed by a guy named Ron Underwood, Mike. This was his very first movie.
He sounds like a window salesman in Chicago. Hey, I'm Ron Underwood.
Yeah, it'd be better if his name was Underground.
Whatever. Oh boy.
This is his first movie. He went on to do other movies like City Slickers.
That makes sense.
Did a lot of TV stuff after this, Mike, and like a lot of those USA shows your parents watch that he associated with a lot of those, like Monk.
Silk Stockings?
Silk Stockings. Yeah, exactly. It was written by a couple of authors, S.S. Wilson and his writing partner, Brett Maddock. Together, Mike, they teamed up for some real doozies here, so this kind of sets the stage for what we're going to discuss.
It's my favorite parts of the podcast, is hearing what these screenwriters brewed up in their past.
So if you don't know what SS stands for, well, let's talk about what these movies are. Maybe you can create your own names for that. Wild Wild West.
Ugh.
Ghost Dad.
Oh boy, wait a minute.
Short Circuit 2.
Oh wow. So yeah, usually when you relay these lists, there's at least one, there's a golden nugget in the pile of poo there.
No, this is a big pile of SS.
Yeah. All right.
So this had a budget of $11 million, Mike.
Wow.
In 1990s money, not that bad. And it was released in the blistery winter that year, January 21st, 1990.
Okay.
Typically when studios put all their best movies out in January.
That's right. All the good horror movies come out in January, February.
All right. So, Mike, I would tell you to run through the actors here, but there are more performers in this little thing. More of they are like looking at the camera saying, "Get a load of me." So, why don't you walk us through the cast of characters, Mike?
Yeah, well, you have the reunion of two astronauts. You have Gus Grissom and Jack Swigert, from
Nice pull.
Apollo 13 and from Right Stuff. Fred Ward, who I don't know why he wasn't in more movies, great in,
Yeah.
His chemistry of Kevin Bacon in this is really good.
Yep.
I was, that's probably the highlight of the movie for me. Is he's, the kind of older, wisecracker guy, and then the young punk. That always works pretty good. And Kevin, let's face it, Kevin Bacon is kind of a punk, and young punk. But yeah, you got those two guys, Val and Earl, who are not junk men.
D-
and they're handymen.
Does he not look like an Earl?
He looks like the epitome of an Earl, you
Look,
know.
if you look up Earl in
Um,
the movie character dictionary, there's Fred Ward.
yes, exactly. And then you got they're kind of our protagonists that you follow around. They all live in this city called Perfection, which is like population 14 people. So that
Hmm.
kind of limits the cast a little bit. You know, you have Michael Gross and his wife Reba McEntire, who play Bert and Heather, who are gun
Yeah.
nuts. Who are those kind of people you would see that live in a bunker and have their provisions for 3 years. They're the this is really playing against type from Michael Gross. You think of him as the uptight liberal dad on Family Ties. Here he is playing kind of an NRA Atlanta Hawks hat wearing guy,
Polar opposite. Yeah.
very, very gets tight, but hey, he comes out, kind of looking like almost like a hero in this movie. And
Yep.
who else? We got the little girl from Jurassic Park. She's there to scream a few times. You have one of my favorite actresses, BB Baish, who was in Star Trek Wrath of Khan as the Doctor, and she has a small role in here where she disappears in the dirt in a station wagon, which is pretty good. Um, and he had that really annoying kid that you really wanted to see,
Yeah.
go under. You wanted to see him be eaten by a worm. Unfortunately, he wasn't. The little Melvin. I don't, by the way, Melvin in this movie, we were just watching. We were wondering who did he belong to.
Yeah. His
He didn't have
where's
parents
his mom and
there.
dad
He
at?
didn't have a
Yeah.
sibling. We were just like, where did this kid come from? Anyway, that's pretty much it. Everybody else, like you say, are kind of performers. That you had, there's just this guy, that guy, then that,
Worm fodder.
yeah, like poor Edgar Deems, the bum in the tower, and you had poor
Uh-huh.
Fred the farmer and Carmine, a guy named Carmine doing road work. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much
Great mustache though.
Oh, awesome mustache. There you go.
All right.
So
All right, good job, Mike. Thanks. Some other notes about that
sure.
cast and the subsequent making of the movie. So Kevin Bacon was one of his first films. He didn't really want to do it, but he needed the money because his wife was pregnant and he needed the cash.
Here is Sedgwick. Oh no.
Yeah, he felt it was a kind of a career low, and then he's kind of warmed up to this movie over time as people have come to him as saying it's cult status that has been impressed upon him. Before he was cast, they were considering Matthew Modine, Bruce Campbell, which I think would have been a
Oh,
perfect
that'd been
fit.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bill Paxton, of course, Mike was considered for this role as well.
Again.
Yeah, Fred Ward, his role was also considered by Jack Palance and John Voight, and I don't
Huh.
think you could go wrong with any of those.
John
Fred,
Voight make a good Earl. Yeah.
yeah, Fred Ward's been in like 200 movies.
It's amazing. I know there are a
Yeah,
lot of B, kind of B movies, but
yeah,
still.
very rarely the lead, but he played the
Sweet
great
Home
role.
Alabama.
Yeah, Well, I was going to go into
Henry
the other name.
Miller, right?
Henry Miller and Henry and June. He was great
Hmm.
role there. Michael Gross, we talked about there, Mike. He shot this on his last day of Family Ties. He drove right over to the next set and started shooting,
Oh yeah.
which was pretty funny. Finn Carter, she's been doing 20 years on the convention circuit just from this single role alone.
I figured as much of her. I remember
Yeah.
that I saw the name. I was like, I don't know her from anywhere.
The Vietnamese shop owner, Victor Warg, that role was considered by Pat Morita, but he wanted too much money, Mike.
No, no.
He
He
said,
was
uh,
he big time at the Karate Kid, I
he
guess.
said, come back tomorrow.
Ugh.
And you mentioned the little Ariana Richards here, who didn't say a word and had more time on a pogo stick than reciting dialogue, Mike. But that's interesting. There's one cast member I have to point out, Mike, that you mentioned briefly, but I think is more important to get detailed this role and flesh it out. The amazing Sunshine Parkins was here.
Oh wow. Was he Fred the Farmer? I figured he was an old guy.
Well, you would remember Sunshine from his role in Roadhouse, where he played Emmett, the hospitable, grizzled old dude that gave shelter to Patrick Swayze above his barn. And we had some fun at his expense during Roadhouse, so let's continue that trend, shall we? He's been in that 95 films, Mike,
Oh wow.
and he died at like 97 years old. And here's some of the roles. We're going to talk about range as an actor, Mike. Here's some of the roles, according to the Internet Movie Database, that he's played in his last 20 years. Hobo, Vagrant, Geezer, Old Codger,
Oh, Codger.
Derelict, Moonshiner, and Old Drunk, and of course, Merle.
Kind of goes with Earl. Yeah,
Yeah, so there
it
you
all
go.
fits. Codger.
Sunshine Parker. We hardly knew ye. So this was an R-rated film initially, but they pulled back the rating to get a little more commercial appeal. They were allowed two F-bombs, and they took advantage of them, Mike. They decided to use the little worms that spit out of the big worm's mouth because they were significantly cheaper, of course, Mike.
Does the little one look like the big one?
Well, it's like the big one.
What the little one look like? Well, cousin, the little one looks just like the big one.
But those little tentacles that shot out, those were
Mm.
like heavy-duty vacuum hoses, Mike.
Oh, that's cool.
Very big tentacles. Nearly 11 tentacles, Mike.
No.
The original working title was called Land Sharks, but they had a conflict, of course, with the now famous Saturday Night Live sketch. So they changed the title to Tremors. They referred to the monsters here as graboids, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
Thank you.
I'm just going to put that to bed. This is 96 minutes, so it's in that
Yay.
slightly above the
More than
88
87.
of the Flintstones, so you get your money's worth at least.
Whew.
And this is one we talked about this a little bit last week. This was one of the last Don LaFontaine narrated trailers, Mike.
Oh, okay.
Perfection. A scorched outpost in the middle of nowhere. Maybe that's why Val and Earl decided to leave town. Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, Tremors.
Yeah. So there you go. So the other things going on in 1990 when this movie came out in the theaters shortly before this came out, you had Internal Affairs and Ski Patrol. Uh, Piling on the January goodness, you had this movie come out on the 21st, followed shortly by Hard to Kill, one of the many
Many.
ubiquitously named Steven Seagal movies. Revenge, one of our favorites, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Costner, no less, and a good movie.
Wow.
And the cop buddy comedy Loose Cannons with Gene Hackman and Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, my gosh.
Not exactly
This,
a cultural renaissance in January, Mike.
but you know what? I saw all these movies in the theater.
Of course we did, right? That's what you did back then. The most popular movies of 1990 were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghost, Home Alone, Pretty Woman, and Godfather 3.
All right. I saw all those in the theater except for Home
Yeah.
Alone, which I refuse to see.
We've only covered one of those on the podcast, Mike, so we got to get up to speed here, buddy. On the music scene, Mike, we always feel compelled to talk about the music scene on a nostalgia podcast. Here's some songs on the chart the week this movie came out were Pump Up the Jam by
Okay.
Technotronic, Another Day in Paradise by Phil Collins.
Ugh.
Think twice, Mike.
Ugh.
How am how am I supposed to live without you? By Michael Bolton.
Why don't you just go by Mike instead of Michael?
No way. Why should I change? He's the one who sucks.
Oh, my.
Considering his trend of ripping off R&B artists. Is that a rhetorical question, you think, Mike?
It's actually, what's her face? Who was the lady who sang Gloria? Oh, this is going to come to me. She died. She originally did that song.
Gloria Gaynor?
No. Who was? Come on, Justin. Help me out here. Help me out, audience.
Diana Ross?
No. It won't come to. Never mind.
Okay.
Pass.
All right, we'll pick it up later. Those at home.
Oh, Laura Branigan.
Laura Branigan. Okay.
She did the original version of How Am I Supposed to Live Without You. It's a
Oh,
great song.
yeah.
Unfortunately, Michael Bolton,
Yeah.
I can't say as much.
Okay.
Shame on him. Shame. Is there a Rod Stewart song somewhere on here, too?
There was, but I skipped over it.
Thank you.
We had Rome and Love Shack, both by the BC-52s, Mike. An homage to last week's Flintstones cameo they made. And then I Remember You by Skid Row.
Oh, that. See, I always had this is that Mandela effect for me again, because I swear that was an 80s song, but I guess maybe it came out in 89. We'll grant it that.
It's weird that you said the Mandela effect because stay tuned. I talk about that here in a second.
It's the quintessential 80s song.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
And they followed that pattern that every 80s metal band did. They had the big hit single, They
Yes.
got all the radio airplay. They had the follow-up single, which was usually a better song than the first one, but didn't get quite the
Hmm.
appeal. And the third one was always the power ballad.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one was like another cut off the album that was a little more up tempo. And then they went away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but every rock band did that. Some other things going on in 1990 that's probably of no interest to anybody, but we'll talk about it anyway. This is the year that Yemen became unified, Mike, giving Chandler Bing a place to move to get away from, Janice.
Well, I'll write you every day. 15 Yemen Road, Yemen.
This is the year we started Desert Shield, Mike, and we solved all the problems in the Middle East after that, so nothing else is wrong now. That's good. This is the year that Nelson Mandela was released from prison.
Oh,
Or
poor
was he?
guy.
Or do you remember it that way, Mike? We are big fans of the Mandela effect here, especially going back and reviewing these movies from 35, 40 years ago. We find out that that phenomenon takes place quite a bit, doesn't it?
It seems to, especially when we go back in time and think, hey, did I see it this way?
Yeah.
Apparently not. Apparently I was wrong all this time
We
looking back.
pontificated at great length about the beach volleyball scene in Top Gun, which is not set on a beach.
Ah,
I
yes. That
remember?
made no sense to me. At that
Yeah.
whole Top Gun, my mind was blown after that. I
And
couldn't watch the rest of the movie.
and I'm sure our audience was riveted by that discussion.
After seeing bare chested Tom Cruise, yeah.
And tiny nipple, no less either. So this is the year that the airlines implemented full-on smoking bans, Mike. So no more smoking sections.
That was it.
Stephen King released the his special edition of The Stand that year, which I've read a couple times since then. It's 1,400 pages and it's not bad. Ending sucks. That's a joke. This you get yourself a Tandy PC, Mike, for $800,
Candy. I hadn't heard that in a while.
and adjusted for inflation, that's about $3,600 now.
And you get
But
that Radio Shack guarantee of quality.
yeah, and you still had to put in your phone number to buy that, and any batteries. You can get yourself a brand new 25-inch television, Mike, for $200.
25-inch.
Yeah, good stuff, right? This is the year the first Entertainment Weekly was published, Mike. And I say that only because a lot of our pop culture early on was really kind of fostered by this. We didn't have the internet back then, kids. And if we wanted to find out about upcoming movies or cinematic happenings or TV shows or music, we had to read Entertainment Weekly, which
Yeah,
was a magazine.
so nice. It was a '90s must read, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff.
I really, I guess like, if you have to like sum up the magazine experience, I miss this one the most. That and maybe Rolling Stone. But I remember getting it in the mail. And it was like,
Hmm.
imagine like getting the internet once a week for 30 minutes and just getting all your information. That's kind of what is it akin to. But yeah, who needs it now, right? And this is the year that the term bling bling was invented, Mike.
Uh-oh.
And it's been downhill for our civilization ever since.
Ugh.
So speaking of downhill, Mike, I suppose we should probably talk about this movie at some point.
Maybe. I kind
Yeah.
of liked it. I'm going to give a spoiler alert. You may have a different opinion, but hey,
Yeah, it was fun, but there's plenty enough to to chastise and make fun of, Mike. So why don't we get started? So,
graboids.
indeed, Mike. So it's time to jump in the theater, Mike. You ready?
Let's go.
All right, but please hit the button. So you get the standard '90s intro with the slow bluesy rock intro, and we see Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward are a bunch of like you know guys that do odd job in this little tiny town
It
of
has the same
perfection.
open has the
Yeah.
same opening as Waterworld, where you get to see a Kevin urinate.
Anytime you start your movie urinating, I think you're off to a good start, don't you think,
Oh yeah.
Mike? So they're going to show their day to day. They're just doing a series of odd jobs here and there, just trying to make ends meet. They're driving around the town and they see a student out in the desert planting probes into the dirt, and it turns out this is Rhonda, and she's a grad student from MSU, Mike. Which,
Oh,
we're
love
never quite
MSU.
sure where MSU is, but she's a grad student doing out there doing research on earthquakes, and there's some strange going ons out there, Mike. She's noticed some strange activity, some strange tremors, if you will, that are
Our
unexplained.
seismograph is picking up things.
Exactly. So as they say their goodbyes, and as they're Kevin and Fred are driving away in their truck, they see a strange figure sitting on top of this electrical tower, and they recognize him from 600 miles away by his jacket, Mike.
His damn jacket. That's right.
So they go up there to investigate, and they see that it's It's old Edgar, Mike.
Edgar Deems and his corpse.
Yeah, he's up there as a corpse. He's died up there, and he's got his gun and tote and everything. And rigor mortis is set, and he's stuck up there. And they can't figure out what happened to him up there. So they get the local doctor, and they drag him down. I guess they just lowered him down on a rope, Mike, but
Guess so.
I would have pushed him just for fun. And the doctor does his assessment. He says, well, this man died of dehydration, as if he were scared to go down, Mike. And they plant the
Oh
seed that,
yeah.
strange things are
Strange things are afoot at the
an
perfection
imperfection, right?
valley.
So,
Where do they think they put the body? Like they
I,
dropped it off. They showed it to the doctor. Doctor, examines it and said, "Oh yeah, this guy's dead." Where did they put old Edgar's
I
corpse
don't
after
know.
that?
It's probably just toss it out in the desert. That's what I would do.
That sounds
The
right.
worms to eat. So you get a scene here where your first introduction to the worms. There's these giant prehistoric, fast-moving sandworms that are plaguing the city here, Mike. And we see a poor little sheep herder get taken out in his farm. They come right up through the ground, Mike, and little
Bread.
tentacles come up and pull him in, and that's it for him. And then we cut away to that same doctor, and he's setting up camp with his wife, and they're talking about their great plans for their retirement home, Mike. And they start to hear some weird noises, and of course, the worms pull him in. She runs to her car for refuge, and of course, the worms are too smart for that, Mike. They dig a big hole and drive, put the Chrysler in there with her, and bury her in the car. So
It's
bad,
it's
yeah,
a horrific death. I mean,
not good, yeah,
You think of Quint's death in Jaws being pretty horrific. There's a couple of them like this in this
yeah.
movie. You're just like it looks like agonizing.
It was not pleasant, and these are typical B movie tropes that are working quite well. Thank you very much. So we cut back to daytime, and Fred and Kevin are doing some more odd work, and they decide it's time for them to leave. This is after a big poo incident, Mike, where they get sprayed by some fecal matter in a septic tank they get fixed. They said, you know what, that's it, we're out of here. So as they're driving away, they come across a couple of construction workers that have been attacked and killed by the worms as well, Mike. They find a
Right.
head. They find a head in the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was a brain bucket.
Yeah. So they decide, you know what, maybe not the best time to leave. So they run back to town. They do an about face to warn the remaining town of 14, who are all set up in this China Vietnamese market owned by Victor Wong. And they kind of spread the word, and then they get surrounded by the worms, and it's on, Mike. And right now you can tell exactly everybody who's going to die for the most part. But there we go. They're joined by a couple people at the last minute that take refuge in the town. This is Bert and Heather, played by Michael Gross and Reba McEntire, who auditioned for this role because she wanted to branch out and she liked the script a lot. And they weren't sure hiring her was a good idea. They thought it was a little gimmicky, but they powered through. And of course, she makes the movie, Mike.
That's right.
But they're gun nuts and they're survivalists, and they were born for this kind of situation, Mike. And they kind of take charge here at some point. But the worms can feel the vibrations, Mike, so they have to get up on top of the roof. And the majority of the second act is just them trying to stay out of the worms' way and trying to get higher and higher on on the roofs and things like that. There's some interesting pole vaulting scenes that I question some of the physics on, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's a very conveniently placed poll.
Yeah. Bert and Heather decide they're going to go back to their compound and then load up on guns, so they haul off, and then the rest of the crew is left to be, fend for themselves, and the sandworms come in and slowly but surely gradually pick off the entire cast one by one. They try to attack Bert and Heather in their bunker. They bust through the wall. Here, Mike, this is a great scene, and they just unload on them. If you ever want to see Reba McEntire shoot a giant worm with an Uzi, this is the movie for you.
This is it.
And of course, Michael breaks out the elephant gun and lets him have it, Mike. Rhonda's research has shown that there's 4 different tremor patterns. So they think there's 4 worms. So they've killed 2 of them so far, Mike. So,
2 down.
the movie's 2/3 over. They only killed half the worms. So how are they going to make that time up? They do it through an accelerated third act where they just kind of rush to the end. And they decide they're going to escape the town with the bulldozer, Mike. So Kevin and Fred race out to the bulldozer, and they put everybody in there, haul a big hauler to it. And of course, the worms are too smart for them. The worms set a trap. And
They're getting smarter. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they fall into this pit, and then, but luckily, Michael Gross here, we uh, during an earlier montage of them building a bunch of bombs, he builds a bunch of TNT fabricated bombs here, Mike,
Just some
uh,
household chemicals in the right proportions.
they take care of it the good old-fashioned American way, where they blow them up. And so they, at the end there, they kill the last one, and then, perfection is saved, and now they're down to like a population of 7, Mike, as opposed to 14. For some reason, they forgot to really flesh out the love interest theme here. So Kevin gives Rhonda a big wet one at the end. They kick on some good '90s music, and as the typical B movie style, Mike, as the credits start rolling, you see some vibrating soil, and you see the end, or is it, Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they showed the one body of the worm, like it had eggs on
yeah,
top of it, and you're like, uh-oh.
yeah. And before you even know what happened, the movie's over.
And then you got
It's just any
A
other
good
good.
Reba song to close you out.
And of course, that's why she was there, Mike. And of course, any good monster movie, that's how you want these things to end. You want them to be over before you know it. You don't really feel much here, Mike. It's very uninvasive, and these kind of movies are probably best when they're that sort of way, and we're all better for it. So let's talk about awards and accolades, shall we? This only had a $4 million opening, Mike. It's not big. Ended up doing just about $16 million domestically and a couple $100,000 more from scattered international releases. So not a big hit, but not a lot of money went into it. It probably turned a profit at the end of the day. It was good enough to earn itself 4 Saturn Award nominations, Mike, for all the females. All the females got nominated here, including Ariana Richardson, who didn't say a damn word. But I don't know how that works, but
Best pogo stick performance.
yeah, that's a good one. This, as we mentioned earlier, this has really kind of gained a lot of traction on home video and cable. Kind of developed a cult status to this day that people really like this movie to the point where it's fostered not one, two, three, but six
Wow, there was
sequels.
6. Okay.
6 sequels. Michael Gross was in all of them, if anybody's curious, keeping score. Kevin Bacon ducked out after the first one. Fred Ward, I think, stuck around for the second one.
Okay.
But they kind of iteration after iteration leads itself to mostly like sci-fi type channel
I remember
movies.
the last one being like a sci-fi, but it was set in the past, like it was Returner Perfection or something, where it
Right.
was like back in the old West kind
Yeah,
of
that
thing.
was that was the direct to video
Okay,
in 2020. They had a short-lived TV series in 2013 on the Sci-Fi Channel.
of course.
Yeah, which was the first year that 1990 was the first year the Sci-Fi Channel started, by the way. Only nerds need to know that, so move on. So there you go. So I mean, it's hard to quantify how you feel about these movies because there's not enough there to hate it. It's not a great movie, Mike, but let's get into some more detail in our. This is kind of the premise of the podcast. This is where we go to something we call our Grumpy Meter. This is where we talk about movies we reviewed as young film goers. Then we watch them again through the eyes of grumpy old jerks to see how our opinions changed on them one way or the other. So, Mike, why don't you head us off? Talk about your first watch way back when, or whatever, and then talk about your most recent watch, and then what changed, or
Yeah.
your overall impressions of the air quote film.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I saw one of the rare people who actually saw this in the theater,
Oh wow.
with my girlfriend Lydia. And we loved the movie at the time, when we saw it. And I didn't have the heart to watch any of the sequels. I don't think. I think even at that age, I didn't want to ruin myself and watch, Tremors 2 or more Tremors or whatever they called it. But yeah, it was a well-made B movie. You didn't go, like you said before, it's a January release, so you didn't go in there with like blockbuster, expectations, and it delivered on what it was, just a
Yep.
a well done script. I like the fact that the monster wasn't revealed right away. There was some good build up to before you got to
Uh-huh.
see it. Of course, after you do see it, it's a little bit,
It's a
it takes
little.
away a little bit of the scare from it, and there's a lot of kind of standing around, literally.
Yeah,
Um,
the tentacles had like a Kukla, Fran, and Ollie vibe.
yeah, even the
Puppet
way
kind
it
of.
kind of lamely died in the concrete culvert there, that was kind of like okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I like some of the camera angles. They even did kind of the Evil Dead perspective when the worm
Uh-huh.
is getting ready to attack the scientist lady.
Yep.
And like I said, the interaction between Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon makes the movie.
Yep.
There's for me, we talked about this before about tone. There's the right amount of kind of comedy and horror, to a point. I think, like I said, some of the deaths. Watching it now, I'm looking at it going, "Wow, that's pretty horrific." I don't remember. I literally thought these people were just dragged under the ground, and you just heard like the monster, like digest and burp. But some
Yeah.
of these, these are actually like, wow, that guy's getting really, he's getting his whole body eaten as he's going under. It's really horrific. So
Yeah.
maybe that's a little, it's B movie though. So that you're kind of looking for that in a
Yeah.
quote unquote horror movie. But yeah, I think another reason why I probably didn't want to see the sequels is it didn't have that interaction between Val and Earl, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that for me that made the movie. Just that whole them doing the rock paper scissors. You remember? I remember that from
Yeah.
watching it again, and we've seen this movie probably 10 or 12 times since we saw it 35 years ago, and just watching it today we're like, wow, this it held up for us because like I said, you know what it is. When you see the start of Waterworld, you see Kevin Costner peeing off the side of his boat, okay, this one, you knew what you're getting into as soon as it opens up,
Yep.
And even with little goofy kind of harmonica music, you knew they were
Uh-huh.
going for that campy kind of
Yep.
feel. And I can't criticize a movie like that. There's a
Yeah.
few things that are just obviously there's Reba McEntire stunt double diving into the semi truck there. It's kind of
That
funny.
was fantastic.
Or the wire, you can see the wire pulling the little lawnmower thing right before it tips over. Little
Uh,
things like that, and you realize, okay, this was a low budget movie, so
yeah.
I got to let it pass. And yeah,
Yeah.
again, I walked away from watching again, same as I did back then. It was a well done movie.
Yeah. So this was I didn't see this in the theater for my first view, but this was prevalent during my college years, so I was kind of busy then. And it was on HBO, and I would watch, extended pieces of it. I don't think I ever saw it all the way through. But by the time I got mildly interested in it, the world had grown up and become a CGI heavy. So these kind of movies just kind of got forced to the wayside because the monster movie had evolved into like a big budget CGI thing, and that's where my interest kind of
Hmm.
flew to by '93. So wiped out any kind of like retro interest I might have had for it. But so I probably gave like a 3 out of 5 because it was, to your point, Mike, it was just funny enough to not be too scary, and it was scary
Yeah,
enough to not be too funny. So it really kind of blended both those horror comedy things that are so tricky to get. My most recent view here a couple of days ago, I kind of took those same tenets and just applied it to a modern construct. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it now. I understand where this was trying to be, and we've seen a lot of movies like this, like Anaconda, and
yeah,
movies that try to be something more than they are. I think B movies they're tricky and they're dangerous because if they're not done right, they they f- they're very very bad. And then they try to cash in on the very very bad part of it and make it campy, but like Anaconda did. But I think you can make good like Planet of the Apes series. I would consider those B movies, right? Because they're just they're not epic world changing period pieces, but they're fun movies that feature some sort of monster or creature. And this movie did it right. It gave me appreciation for when this genre is done right.
yeah,
They're very entertaining. They're dumb. They're always dumb, but they're always watchable. And then it's a little niche that these movies take up in the viewing
yeah,
spectrum here, right? This some if you don't want to watch, some giant pretentious CGI laden epic story, you throw this in, while you're doing the dishes or while you're folding your laundry, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It just
yeah.
it it provides you some performance of a dumb story arc about a monster getting defeated, and then those things are good enough. And so I thought it did what it's supposed to do, and I probably gave it like a 3.2 out of 5 this time. Like it was
Oh
much more
wow.
important. It
Okay.
was it wasn't it's not something I'm going to watch with any kind of regularity, but you
Yeah.
know, having the assignment, it wasn't unpleasant to go through this and watch this movie.
It wasn't a Flintstones kind of experience.
Right. My wife has other opinions on it, but
She's hard to please, that one.
yeah, but she suffered through this on the couch with me, but I think Etsy and Instagram got more views than the movie itself. But that's fine. But it was a fun B movie, and Those are always good when they work out. All right, so to that point, Mike, we've talked about the B movie genre a few times before, but we never specifically talked about things we really like about them. So we thought for the long-awaited return of You Just Made the List, pal, we'd use this week's installment to go back and look at some of our personal favorite B movie monster movies.
Mm.
And I think so. Why don't we pick a few, Mike? A handful, three or four, maybe an honorable mention if you have one. But Mike, why don't you run us through some of your favorite B movie monsters through the year?
Yeah, I thought about this for a while, and well, for me, a while is like a minute.
A minute or two.
Yeah. Before I thought of it, I was like, you know what? I could come up with like a movie and just make it up. And do you think any of our audience would question me on it? Maybe Dr. K. I'm sure he would probably do some
Are you talking
research.
about doing like two
Oh,
truths and a lie?
look at what about? I was just gonna. I was thinking, what if I just thought of three movies, or just thought of one epic movie, and just like like what if it was like a worm movie set in the Mojave Desert, and not like a desert that had like think Dune without
Uh-huh.
like the glittery spice,
Yeah.
and you had like a dune buggy, and you had Arch Hall, and you had a guy that got hit by a moon rock, and then he became a monster. Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. My first one I thought of obviously was Track of the Moon Beast.
Oh,
I had gained a lot of inspiration from Mystery Science Theater movies, and I wanted to kind of work in the guidelines of a movie that was set in the desert and involved
uh-huh.
a
Okay.
creature that evolved in the desert.
All
So
right. Okay.
those are my rules.
I like when you tweak it a little bit to fit your own
They,
self-interest.
thank you. I appreciate that. Track of the Moon Beast is great. It has Paul Carlson, who's he was an archaeologist, and
Yeah.
but he was in geology. He gets I'm gonna say he gets struck by a rock in the New Mexico desert. I'm gonna say technically not the desert, high desert,
Yeah.
New Mexico, and he turns into this Indian legend, which is the Moon Beast. And
Oh, wow.
oh wow, that's right, Kathy. And just a little piece of it hits him and just grazes his
Yeah,
head.
like a micro, like a meteorite, like a little
Yeah,
micro.
and he doesn't realize what's going on until his iguana leaves his cage, and he realizes he's going out at night, and he kills some poker players. He kills a bowler. Um,
Yeah, if you belong to the VFW, you're in big trouble.
and he really goes off the rails. Johnny Longbow steps in and tries to help out,
Yeah.
and he describes this an Indian legend, but it's a beast that was created from the moon. That think about it, and the only way to kill him is with an Indian arrow made with a little bit of uranium, a little bit of the moon rock is
Uh-huh.
goes into the guy that's been changed by the moon rock, and he frugs and he explodes.
Wow.
And that was Track the Moon Beast. That was
Wow.
one of my
So Johnny Longbow killed him.
yeah. His aim is true, and
Yeah. Well,
his
tell me,
his his bow is long.
doesn't he have like does he made like a really good stew in that movie if I
Yeah, he had
recall, right? What was in that stew again, Mike?
oh, lots of things: onion, chicken, corn.
Green peppers.
It's been in the family for generations.
That's a great stew. What's in it?
Whole lot of things.
Rattlesnake, Velveeta.
Chicken, corn, green peppers, chili, onions.
Hair.
Well, it's an old recipe around here.
All right, we're inside joke territory here, right? So, all right, track the movies. Very good one, Mike. I like that one a lot. So my first pick is going to be The Blob
Oh, that's a good one.
from 1958. This is famous for, I think, it's Steve McQueen's first movie.
Yeah.
He plays a teenager, but he was actually 28 years old at the time of this filming. This kind of metaphor for communism at the time, Mike. Of course, everybody knows that. But
Everybody.
one of those things I saw on, Family Classics. It was one of those things they'd show a couple times a year on the Creature feature as well. It's just a classic 50s sci-fi movie. Most of those had some other, they were always metaphor for something else. But this one, as a child, I didn't get this was a warning about communism. I just thought it was a monster that was eating people. I never forget that crazy scene at the beginning where the guy out in the woods picks up this little glob that falls from space and with a stick, and he tries to get rid of it and he holds the stick upside down to shake it off, and the blob keeps moving up and covering his hand. And that was so creepy. And it's pretty crazy stop motion effects for the 50s, right? And that of course the apocalyptic scene where they're in the movie theater and everybody's running because the blob
Oh
is
yeah.
in there. The blob was basically just red gel and glycerin, but just the classic B movie monster film that I just really liked. I think if I'm not mistaken, Mike, if memory serves, they just freeze it and just throw it up in an attic. That's how the movie ends. They don't really
I do remember it getting cold. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know.
but they don't dispose of it. They throw it up in the attic for storage later. So that's my first pick for B movie monsters, the Blob, Mike.
So the blob couldn't necessarily survive in most of Russia or Siberia.
See,
Interesting.
these are the questions that I don't ask that I put you on the payroll for, Mike. So,
Gotcha.
good
Okay.
point.
My second pick is the Attack of the Giant Gila Monster. We'll stick with the 50s here.
Nice.
This is the movie where they allude to atomic radiation making a normal sized Gila monster in the Arizona desert become enormous. And there's some great. There's no like there's no. This isn't Harry. This isn't Harryhausen. This isn't like stop motion or claymation. This is actually a Gila monster. It's this really forced perspective. Like there's a really intense scene where he derails a train, and it's great because he just pulls open the boxcars and starts eating people. Um,
As they
his
do.
his favorite food though is teenagers. He seems to really prey on this group of teenagers that are really into their hot rods.
Yeah.
And our main protagonist, who works for like a tow truck company or something,
Uh,
he ultimately, with the help of some of his hot rod, friends and fellow teenagers,
yeah.
they lure the Gila monster and electrify him and blow him up. So there he goes. Um, this is the movie that was famous for having all the actors have a leg up during a lot of the scenes,
Yeah, they
like
didn't know what to do with
having one.
their acting directions. They just put their legs up on
This
things.
director had some weird fetish where one of the legs had to always be up on either propped up on a tire or on a chair, but they had to have their arm resting on their leg. It was so
That's called the Captain Morgan School of Acting.
yeah, exactly. So that's what I remember the Gila Monster for.
Yeah,
You know,
those teenagers
fantastic.
could really sing too. They sing whatever they
Oh,
sing, whatever they sing. Like
yeah. Whenever I sing,
maybe that makes
yeah,
them more delicious. They're horrible singing.
yeah.
All right, so that's a good
Exactly.
one, Mike. All right,
Gila
so
Monster.
my next pick, I'm going to stay in the 50s here because it was right for him. I'm going to go with the Tingler.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's from 1959. The Tingler was essentially, I was listening to a repeat of one of our shows, and we were talking about Paul Winfield getting eaten by cockroaches in Damnation Alley from the inside.
Oh yeah,
And that made me think about this, the Tingler. The Tingler was a Vincent Price black and white film from the late 50s where he played this mad scientist he was trying to explore these weird phenomenon of people getting scared to death. And he found out that there's these little creatures that look like a big cockroach that get into your bloodstream, Mike, and they tingle you.
yeah. They get in your spine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is they grow on your fear. So the more afraid you get, the bigger the monster gets.
Yes.
And it just leads to like a really great atmospheric, scary movie. I actually saw this in the theater. Frank Conniff and Trace Ballou from Mystery Science Theater riffed this movie live on stage, and they were actually sitting in the audience watching the film, and they're sitting like two rows in front of me, performing the entire show, which was really fun. But yeah, so I got to see this on the big screen with these guys kind of goofing on it in real time. But it had an interesting history in theaters as well. Back in the 50s, to get gimmicky things to get people to go to the theater. A lot of times theaters would have some sort of gimmicky thing where they would have like smell-o-vision or things like that. This was famous for the Percepto-vision, Mike, which was
Hmm.
whenever they played the Tingler, they would put small little electrical buzzers
Oh
in
yeah.
in in
Back of the
strategically
seat.
selected seats. So when the Tingler would tingle, some poor sap sitting in row 4A, his seat would vibrate, and there was a mild electric shock would go through their body.
Mild.
Yeah, but this is a great movie, and it's not on everybody's top shelf, but it's a neat little hidden gem that I really like. So that's the Tingler, from 1959, Mike.
Doesn't in there a scene near the end where Vincent Price like addresses the audience in the theater?
Yeah,
he's like,
"Ladies and gentlemen, please do not panic, but scream! Scream for your lives! The Tingler is loose in this theater!"
Yeah, and that was completely addressed to the audience that they knew they were going to have sitting in these electrified seats.
yes.
Imagine trying to get away with that today.
I know. Oh,
All right, so
that wouldn't lead to any lawsuits.
no, not at all. Of course, they get the one with the pacemaker, and that would be it.
Oh, goodness.
How did you die? Well, I died watching. I died by the tingler.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what's up next for you?
Let me do some honorable mentions.
Okay.
These are all desert creatures,
Uh-huh.
desert and B movies. Of course, Ega, who is a caveman that somehow exists in outside of L.A. and like somewhere out in the desert there. He lives in a cave with his ancestors who are all skeletons, and he likes to get a good shave from a teenage girl.
Was that Richard Korn? Richard Kind?
No, don't do the Richard Kiley.
Richard Keel, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Jaws from James Bond.
And let's see, Laser Blast. That's
Great
where you
one.
have poor Billy in his van. He gets infected by a necklace that comes from these turtle creatures. And don't ask anymore.
That's enough. Who doesn't want to watch after that?
Them, another. I've mentioned this
great
movie
one.
before.
Yes,
It's another. It's ants in the desert. You can't beat it.
That's where Brooks gets bitten in half by an ant. Brooks from the Shawshank Redemption gets bitten in half. Bad stuff, dude.
I thought you were gonna break out your Jim Ross. Night of the Lepus.
Yep.
Rabbits, giant rabbits in the desert. They're giving
horrifying.
they're giving a food they shouldn't have been given. We all know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Black Scorpion, giant scorpion in a Mexican volcano where scientists lure it to its lair, and this one's actually stop motion. Pretty good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, another 50s classic. But my favorite desert creature, and you're gonna love this one, Justin, is from Beast of the Yucca Flats, and it
wonderful.
stars
Yeah.
Tor Johnson as noted physicist Paul Jaworski.
Of course it does.
He has a briefcase. He's a Russian scientist just defecting, and inside his briefcase, he has pictures of Soviet Union's trip to the moon, and also secrets of the H bomb. And of course they want to. KGB comes after him, shoots his his attaché, his security guards are killed, so he has to go wandering in the desert. And boy, did he pick a bad time to go wandering in the desert, because guess what? They're testing a nuclear bomb.
What?
And, yeah. And poor Professor Jaworski gets turned into a creature that just doesn't know what he's doing, and he starts just wandering the desert. He goes after these
why
kids.
Did you just get into a refrigerator?
And I even a safe in there. But yeah, these kids were feeding the pigs Coca-Cola.
Okay, finish your sentence.
And the poor beast has these guys going after him, and the hunters, eventually gets gunned down, and he caresses a rabbit at the very end, and that's how you end your movie. Beast of Yucca Flats, a Coleman Francis classic.
Yes.
So I would advise anyone to watch this 1961 Jim.
Wow, great picks, Mike. Thank you very much. That's fantastic. So I can't top that.
Flight on the Moon.
Like, how did it get there? I'm going to try a few here just for honorable mentions, then I'll come up with my final one. So I think Medusa from Clash of the Titans, the stop motion one from 1981. Great monster. So much better than the hokey CGI one from the remake later. I think The Predator, falls under this purview as well. As core as a B movie. I think one of the greatest, The Predator from 1987, Arnold Schwarzenegger's foe. I think one of the greatest monsters in film history, quite frankly. Just the design of that thing is to this day still holds up. The Deadites, Mike, from Evil Dead. Yeah. I think those are great. Just because they're very basic, criminally low budget makeup, but just it's a great example of what atmosphere can do to make things scary. Yeah. So it's basically rubber paint on these guys' face, but as far as you're concerned, they're demons. And that was from 1981 as well.
Hey, I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul.
But my big uh, finale here is going to go back to the 50s again one more time, Mike. I'm going to go to the Creature from the Black Lagoon, Mike, from 1954.
Oh yeah, Gilman.
Again, the Gilman, I think, is just along with Predator, just one of those. If you have a Mount Rushmore of creature design, I think he goes on there. So much farther apart than other classic Universal monsters of that era. Just the full body suit, the the ingenuity to have that thing be waterproof, and it was very tough for that actor because the eye holes were tough. They would always, he never knew where he was swimming. A couple of people had to play that role, one for the swimming, one for the acting. But just the sense of dread and the music score that accompanies him, they overplayed that intentionally. They play that score every time you see the monster. Just, I remember everything about that creature from just, my first viewing of this movie was actually, I was standing, I live in a small town in the Midwest, and we had a yearly haunted house where we'd take the train station depot and convert it to a haunted house. And as you were waiting to get in line, they would play classic Universal black and white horror films on a real projector on a screen outside of as you were waiting. And
Oh, nice.
the line was so large, I got to watch the majority of this film at Halloween, outside eating candy, on the big screen at night, waiting to get. I mean, there's a good memory associated with that. So I've always really liked this film. There's a couple of things about this movie that I thought was interesting. One is there's the creature design. Some guy, Howard something or other, took credit for this, and he'd done a lot of the Universal horror film designs, but he completely cut out the real designer. This was an actress named Millicent Patrick, who she'd been in 31 movies, and she's like a classically trained pianist. She's one of the first women. She was the first woman to be an animator at Disney, but she designed this thing from basically cradle to grave, and he was so intimidated by her prowess that he like got her fired and pushed her out, took credit for her in her design. But I'm gonna do my little bit to right or wrong here. So if you ever see that Creature of the Black Lagoon, they know that the actress Millicent Patrick designed that. She also did the monsters for It Came from Outer Space. She designed the Mole Men, Mike. She also did the creature from This Island Earth. So she's done a lot of iconic creature designs, but never got the recognition she deserved. So
Did she do Killer Shrews?
No, she just
Okay. I hope not.
Just put a carpet sample on a big dog, and then
yeah.
So that's my list. So those are our B movies, guys. So, Mike, I think we're going to have to wrap up the show here at some point. So let's just do a little housekeeping before we leave. So if you like what you heard today for some reason, you can check us out on our social media. That's at Instagram, the appropriately titled Grumpy Nostalgia. Check us out there. You can send us an email at nostalgiagrumps@gmail.com. We have a fledgling YouTube channel. Check it out. Maybe you'll be the one. Mike, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Just that you're going to be the worm face.
I ate the worm, Mike. It was not a good thing. All right, so for Mike James, this is Justin, and we'll see you again next time. I think we probably got way too self-referential there, but that's okay.
That's okay. Hey,
it's our show.
It's for you, man.
If we start worrying about what the audience wants, we're going to be in big trouble.
That's right. We plan ahead. That means we don't do anything right now.
Worms.